It is 1977. In a field in Ohio, a radio telescope is listening to the sky, completely unattended. Nobody is there to hear what it hears. Days later, a volunteer sits at his kitchen table with a stack of paper printouts a technician dropped off on his way into town. He is not paid to do this anymore. He does it anyway. A few pages in, he stops. 6 characters in a column of numbers that should mean nothing. He picks up a red pen. He circles them. In the margin, without thinking too hard about it, he writes one word. Whatever his telescope heard that night has never been heard again. Not once, in almost 50 years, across more than 100 attempts to listen for it. This is not the only object science still can't explain. It isn't even the strangest one. There is a star that appeared to be building something, and a visitor from outside our solar system that broke the laws we thought applied to every rock in the sky. Real telescopes, real data, real scientists, still arguing about what they found, ranked from the one we've mostly figured out to the one we haven't figured out at all. You're watching Mindwired. Objects astronomers can't explain. 2015. A NASA space telescope called Kepler has spent years staring at one patch of sky, watching over 100,000 stars for the tiny, regular flicker of a planet passing in front of them. Kepler generates far too much data for scientists alone to check, so NASA hands some of it to ordinary volunteers, a project called Planet Hunters, to look at the charts by eye. One star stops them cold. Its brightness doesn't dip by the tiny, steady amount a planet would cause. It dips by up to 22%, then climbs back on no fixed schedule at all. A planet, even one as big as Jupiter, blocks about 1% of a star's light on a schedule you can set a clock to. To block 22%, whatever passed in front of this star would have to be most of the star's own width. Nothing that large should be able to orbit a star without destroying itself, and whatever it wasn't coming back on any schedule. The star gets a name, KIC 8462852. Astronomers just call it Tabby's star, after Yale astronomer Tabitha Boyajian, who led the team that published it. Her own first reaction, on record, when they showed the star to me, we all thought it was a data glitch. It wasn't. A year later, astronomer Jason Wright and his team publish a paper asking a genuinely serious question. Could this be what a megastructure under construction, built by another civilization, would actually look like from Earth? His own words, quoted directly, "Aliens should always be the very last hypothesis you consider, but this looked like something you would expect an alien civilization to build." That is not the same as saying he found one. It's a scientist saying, before we rule this out, let's actually check. So other astronomers checked. Comet swarms, dust rings, a star that may have swallowed a planet 10,000 years ago and never quite settled down. Then, in 2018, a Kickstarter-funded telescope campaign catches a new dip happening live. And this time, they measure it in multiple colors of light at once. A solid object. A planet, a swarm of ships, a megastructure, blocks every color of light equally. This dimming didn't. It blocked blue light more than red. That is the signature of dust, not a solid object at all. Boyajian's own conclusion. Dust is most likely the reason why the star's light appears to dim and brighten. Wright's own words on his idea, once the data came in. This latest research rules out alien megastructures, but it raises the plausibility of other phenomena. So, not aliens. That part is actually settled. What's still not settled is which kind of dust, from what source, and why it's so extreme. As of just this year, one new study finds a tentative, not yet confirmed, signal of a giant hidden planet in the system, one that could be stirring up comet debris and flinging it through the star's light. So this one makes our list at number 3. Genuinely bizarre, mostly explained. Still, right now, missing its last few pieces. October 19th, 2017. On a mountain in Hawaii, a telescope built to watch for asteroids that could hit Earth catches something moving wrong. Astronomer Robert Werrick spots a faint streak in the data. He checks the night before. It's there too. Its path doesn't fit any normal orbit around our sun. His own words, "It's just something that happened to run into us, and we were very lucky to have been operating the telescope that night and looking in that direction." Within days, the math is undeniable. This object's path is bent just enough that it can only have come from outside our solar system entirely, and it's already leaving. It's named Oumuamua, Hawaiian for scout or messenger from afar arriving first, and almost immediately, it starts doing things nothing in our solar system does. Its brightness swings by a factor of 10 as it tumbles, meaning it's either wildly elongated, like a cigar, or flattened, like a pancake. Nothing in our own solar system is shaped like either. Then it gets stranger. As it leaves, it speeds up slightly more than the sun's gravity alone can explain. Real telescopes measure this precisely. It is not a rounding error. In a comet, that kind of push comes from ice boiling off the surface, a visible tail, a cloud of gas. Deep images and space telescopes look for exactly that from up close. They find nothing, no tail, no gas, no dust cloud. Even though it passed closer to the sun than Mercury does, something pushed it. Nothing visible was pushing it. One Harvard astronomer, Avi Loeb, co-authors a real peer-reviewed paper proposing an answer. What if it were thin enough and light enough to be pushed by sunlight itself, like a sail? His own paper lays out two options for what that sail could be, something we don't yet understand forming naturally out in space. Or, his words, debris from someone else's technology. His later popular book argues harder for the second option than his own peer-reviewed paper ever did. Almost no other astronomer in the field agrees with him. In 2019, 14 of the world's leading comet and asteroid experts review everything and conclude, every single observation is consistent with something entirely natural. But which natural explanation? Frozen hydrogen? A fragment of nitrogen ice chipped off a Pluto-like world hundreds of millions of years ago? Scientists have proposed all of these and are still arguing about all of them. Two more interstellar visitors have passed through since. Both behaved exactly like normal comets. Visible tails, visible gas, nothing strange at all. Which makes the first one stand out even more. Number 2 on our list. A confirmed visitor from another star system that did something we still can't fully explain. Which brings us back to Ohio, 1977, and the 6 characters a volunteer named Jerry Amon circled in red pen. The telescope was called Big Ear, run out of Ohio State University. It scanned the same fixed strip of sky over and over as the Earth's own rotation swept it past different stars. Every 10 seconds, the computer printed one character showing how strong any signal was. A quiet sky printed low numbers. This one didn't. The exact sequence was 6, E, Q, U, J, 5. The letter U meant the signal was roughly 30 times stronger than the background noise around it. It came in close to a very specific frequency, the exact wavelength hydrogen itself emits, the most common element in the entire universe, and the frequency every SETI search was built to watch. It lasted exactly as long as the telescope's fixed beam took to sweep across one point in the sky, 72 seconds, rising and falling smoothly. Not a glitch, not a flicker, a real object in a real fixed spot. It came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, and it was never, not once, seen again. Not that night, not the next night, not in nearly 50 years since. Astronomers have pointed some of the most sensitive radio telescopes on Earth at that exact spot at least 6 separate times across 5 decades, looking for it again. Every single search came back with nothing. As recently as 2022, the Breakthrough Listen project used 2 major observatories to search the region again. Nothing. In 2017, one researcher proposed a passing comet's hydrogen cloud could explain it. The scientists who actually found the signal reviewed the claim directly and rejected it. The most credible natural theory right now, published in 2024 and 2025, is that a violent flare from a dead, collapsed star briefly lit up a cold cloud of hydrogen gas like a flashbulb. Even the scientists proposing it are careful about their own language. They call it a hypothesis, not a discovery, not an answer, a hypothesis. The telescope that heard it was torn down in 1998 to make room for a golf course. It can never listen again. For decades afterward, whenever people asked the man who circled it in red pen what he thought it really was, he gave the same careful answer. He never claimed it was aliens. He just never ruled it out either. Nearly 50 years later, this is still, honestly, the strongest unexplained signal SETI has ever recorded. Not proof of anything, just a real number on a real printout that nobody has ever explained. None of these three are proof of aliens. Every one of them, when scientists actually checked, pointed back towards something natural, something strange, or something we simply don't have an answer for yet. That's honestly the more interesting finding. The universe doesn't need aliens to be strange. It's strange enough on its own, and we're still only decades into really looking. Somewhere out there, right now, another telescope is recording something nobody has looked at yet. Statistically, most of what it finds will have a normal explanation. But every single mystery on this list started exactly that way, as one strange line in one ordinary printout that somebody almost didn't stop to look at twice. If ranked mysteries like this are your kind of thing, we've also broken down the sounds NASA actually recorded in deep space, real audio, ranked by how unsettling it actually gets. That one's on this channel too. Wait until you hear what NASA's own space sounds video has on it. Subscribe to Mindwired for the real science behind the strangest things in the universe. If any of this messed with your head a little, well, that's exactly the point. And it only happens because people like you keep showing up. And
hit subscribe right now for it. It costs you nothing, and it's the entire reason Mindwired keeps making videos like this. Subscribe.